right now, your car is leaving you messages, little chemical notes that drift up through the vents while you drive, and most people never learn to read a single one. A sweet smell on a Tuesday, a hot metallic whiff on a Thursday. You crack the window, you shrug, you forget, and a coolant leak you could have caught for pocket change becomes a car steaming on the side of the road. You smelled the warning. You just never learned that your nose is one of the sharpest diagnostic tools in the entire car, quicker sometimes than the sensors the manufacturer bolted in. 7 smells. Every one is your engine handing you a clue about what's failing and how fast. Roll the window back up. Let's learn the language. A smell on its own is only half a clue. The other half is when you catch it. Cold start, first thing in the morning, idling at the red light, halfway down a long hill with your foot resting on the brake. The second you flick on the AC. Same nose, same car, but the moment the scent hits changes what it's telling you completely. So from now on, you do one thing every time something smells off. You notice what you were doing the instant it arrived. Were you braking, accelerating, sitting still with a heater running? That one detail is the difference between a wild guess and a diagnosis. Keep it in your back pocket. You're going to need it for all 7. Some cars start to smell faintly of maple syrup. That's the first one, and it's the sneakiest because it smells almost nice. That sweetness is coolant, the fluid pumping through your engine to stop it cooking itself. Most coolant is made with ethylene glycol, and ethylene glycol has a trick. It turns to vapor and gives off that sweet, syrupy smell long before it ever gets hot enough to boil. So, if you're smelling maple, coolant is escaping somewhere it shouldn't be. Now use the rule. A sweet cloud outside the car after you park usually means a leak in a hose or the radiator dripping onto warm metal, but catch it inside, through the vents, with the windshield fogging up and a faint greasy film creeping across the glass, and it's coming from the heater core. The heater core is a little radiator tucked deep behind your dashboard, the part that blows warm air at your feet in winter. When it leaks, it sprays a fine mist of coolant straight into the cabin. You're breathing it, and this is one you don't sit on. Ethylene glycol is sweet enough that dogs and cats will lick it off a driveway, and it's genuinely poisonous. It's also your engine quietly bleeding out the one fluid keeping it cool. Ignore the syrup long enough and the next smell you get is a lot hotter, which brings us to burning. Burning is where most people panic because burning could mean almost anything. So we pull it apart with the rule. By when it hits, when you catch hot, greasy oil while you're sitting at the red light idling, going nowhere, that's engine oil that's leaked onto the exhaust manifold. The cluster of hot pipes bolted to your engine that carries the burnt gases out. A tired gasket lets a little oil seep onto metal running north of 500 degrees, and it burns off. Strongest when you're stopped and there's no wind to carry it away. A sharp, accurate sting right after a long downhill or a hard stop is a different part entirely. Your brakes. Ride them too long and the friction overheats the pads, and that sting is the pad material starting to break down. Get that same smell on flat ground at normal speed and check you didn't leave the parking brake half on. Classic mistake, and the whole car stinks of it. And if you drive a manual, there's a third one. A smell like scorched paper in stop and go traffic. That's the clutch. Inside, it sits a friction disc made of a pressed paper-like material, and slipping it too much in traffic means you are quite literally burning paper, which is honestly kind of wild. One word, burning, 3 different parts. The only thing that told them apart was when. Hot rubber has its own smell, and once you've caught it, you never mistake it for anything else. Usually, it's a drive belt in trouble. Snaking around the front of your engine is a long rubber belt called the serpentine belt, and it drives your alternator, your water pump, and half the accessories on the engine. When it slips or wears, it heats up and throws off that unmistakable hot rubber smell, a squeal often riding along with it. It can also be a hose that's worked loose and dropped onto the hot exhaust, slowly melting against it. And if the rubber smell shows up with one wheel too hot to touch, a brake caliper might be seizing, dragging the pads against the wheel with your foot off the brake and scorching the tire from the inside out. Rubber means friction somewhere it shouldn't be. Track it down before that belt snaps and takes your steering and your charging with it. The next smell doesn't burn at all. It rots. Rotten eggs. No mistaking it, and no pretending your car has any business smelling like a science class stink bomb. That smell is hydrogen sulfide, a sulfur gas that comes from the tiny amount of sulfur naturally sitting in your gasoline. Normally, you never smell it, because your catalytic converter catches it first. The catalytic converter is a filter in your exhaust, running north of 800 degrees, that scrubs the nasty gases and turns them into harmless ones. In this case, it turns stinky hydrogen sulfide into sulfur dioxide, which your nose can't pick up. So, when rotten eggs get through, the converter has stopped doing its job. Often, that's because the engine is running rich, dumping in more fuel than it can actually burn, and flooding the converter until it can't keep up. It's the priciest club on this list to fix. Sure, but the smell is really pointing upstream, at whatever's making the engine run rich in the first place. Fix the cause and the stink clears with it. The next two smells, though, aren't for diagnosing on the move. Some smells you diagnose. These two you obey. Raw gasoline, actual liquid fuel, sharp and impossible to miss and easy to tell from the dull smell of exhaust. Sometimes it's nothing. A quick whiff at a cold start when a little extra fuel floods in. But when it sticks around, fuel is escaping as liquid or vapor. A cracked seal on a fuel injector, the tiny nozzle that sprays gas into your engine, or a leak in the web of hoses meant to trap those vapors before they get out. Gasoline near a hot engine is the exact ingredient list for a fire, so a steady gas smell means stop and check today. The other one is hot electrical, sharp and chemical, like melting plastic. That's wire insulation burning from a short circuit or a part pulling more power than it should and overheating its own wiring. Melting plastic under your dash is how electrical fires start. Smell it, kill the engine, and get it looked at before you drive another mile. These two are past the point of roadside guesswork. They're your car telling you the safe move is to be somewhere else. After all that, the last one is almost a relief. You switch on the AC and the vents breathe out something musty. Old gym bag, wet dog. That smell is mold and bacteria growing on a part called the evaporator, a cold coil buried in your dashboard that pulls heat out of the air to cool the cabin. Cold coil, warm air, and every time the AC runs, water condenses on it, the same way a cold drink sweats on a hot day. A damp, dark coil is exactly where mildew wants to grow. And this is the one smell on the whole list that isn't your car breaking. Nothing's failing under the hood, nothing's leaking, and the fix can cost you nothing at all. Next time, a few minutes before you park, switch the AC off but leave the fan running. It dries the coil out before anything can grow. Your nose just went from smelling trouble to preventing it. And that's the whole idea. The same nose that catches a serious problem while it's still small can head off a smelly one for free. 7 smells. One diagnostic tool you've been carrying around this whole time. Start using it.